Let's learn how to navigate around the Husqvarna Viking Sapphire 960Q. With the new touch screen, there's a few new things to kind of look for. We have a start menu that will give you a variety of ways to get around your machine. You have a start menu. This button here is your stitch menu, so that will bring out all your decorative stitches. And we have a stitch font menu. When we go back there, that'll get you into all your alphabets, which will have a whole entire video dedicated to combining and using the memory. For programming, and then file manager and a set menu. Again, we're going to get into all these different areas of your screen. You also have your stitch menu. So as you go in here, and one thing I want you to notice, we'll use this quite a bit throughout the machine. If an icon or a picture has a small little triangle pointing to the lower right corner, that means to get to that, you need to touch and hold it. So right now I'm going to use my stylus and touch and hold. It takes like a second and a half, and then that will bring up something else. So here's where we can get to all of our menus, A, B, all the way through U. And then as we touch them, you'll get to different stitch categories, and you will find that they are labeled, like these are all the satin stitches. We can get to specialty stitches. D is the quilting stitches. And whatever stitch you pick, then you will see it on the screen. It'll tell you which foot to use, what stitch number you have selected, and then we can go to the sewing information where we can see what fabric we've told it to work with. Right now it just says woven medium. That is in conjunction with the sewing advisor at the lower part of the screen. We'll do an entire video also on that. It tells you with that fabric what needle to use. Should we use stabilizer? That's the picture for stabilizer. Our tension adjustment is done all on screen. So if you change anything, it is normally black with the number as it starts. If you plus it up or change it, everything will turn red, indicating you have adjusted it from the default setting. If you're doing free motion quilting, that's a symbol for that. A pattern begin. And then here's for stitch length. So it's showing us that it's 40 millimeters long. We can make that longer. You can see the picture actually spreading out as we do that. And the number is red, indicating that we have changed it. And then across the bottom is our width, so we can make it narrower. 7 millimeters is our widest, so that's where that started with. If I want to go back to a straight stitch, I can touch and hold the stitch menu, go back to A and touch number 1. It shows you our A foot here. Our sewing information will be more basic here. Stitch length, that's determined by the fabric that you have selected. So that's nice if we pick a heavier fabric. Notice it goes up to 3.0 millimeters in length. And then this down here, when it's not width, it's needle position. So as we move it to the side, you'll notice that because we have a width of 7 millimeters, it will go 3.5 to the right, and then also 3.5 to the left. As it goes, it'll actually be minus, so you know which way you're actually going. And once again, I always love that I can see the stitches getting bigger, smaller, or moving side to side as we're doing it. We also have an Alt here. So as we touch Alt, there may or may not be something different for that particular stitch. If there is, another menu will come up. There is not. But if we want to go back, let's go ahead and pick a zigzag. Stitch number 7, for example. Touch the sewing information. We can make the width. And let's make it a little bit narrower here. Touch Alt. And now we can actually move the needle position right or left. We can take the whole stitch and shift it to the right justified or left justified. That's really nice when you're doing certain decorative stitches. Now, another thing people always ask is, how do I get it to clear out my settings? And yes, you can come back and just keep touching it until the red numbers turn back to black numbers. But sometimes that's a lot of extra touching of the screen. Here's a quick tip on this. Go back to your stitch menu button and reselect the same stitch. So I'm going to reselect stitch 7, the zigzag, and everything returns back to the default settings for that stitch. So that's what I use quite a bit. Also too, you can choose another stitch and come back to the stitch you want to clear. That also will clear it out. So we've got all sorts of different ways to move around the machine. What I do want to do is go over the function, a part of the screen over here on the side. Starting at the top, we have quick help, the question mark, which is great. When you touch the question mark, watch right here at the start menu. It has a little question mark with an arrow. So when you touch something, For example, a stitch on the screen, a function, and information, you will see what that actually is. It's like having your own little manual right on screen. That happens to be a straight stitch with a fix. Fix being a locking stitch, and it will tell you what that's all about. You can green check mark out of that. And if you want to touch something else, for example, what is this icon right here? Well, it actually doesn't show you that, but it will come up and tell you as we go into a new area, for example, question mark. And what is this function? That says for doing a free motion technique. Opens a window where you can select free motion for the particular project you're doing. So use that if you can't remember what some area is. That is a nice little help. Sometimes we don't know what to look up in the manual, and that gives us a nice little reference point to it. The next one is to save to my stitches, which will again do a video in that whole entire area. A delete option, and that would be used in the memory. We have mirror end to end, mirror image side to side. These are function arrows. We'll use those a lot to go up or down, like right now for making the stitch length longer or shorter, and then side to side. And then the Alt button, of course, too, if there is something that will allow us to do something else with those arrows, that will also come on up. And then down here, Sewing Advisor, which we'll get into. So we have lots to learn on this screen, but hopefully those definitions will help. As we go through the additional videos, you'll know what buttons I am touching. One more thing about the stitch menu buttons here, when you have the A, B, C up on your screen, notice that there are, for example, in A, there's 4 little bubbles at the top. So right now you're seeing stitches 1 through 12. If you touch that same menu button here, you'll get to the second bubble, and then you'll get 13 through 24 and 25 through 36, and the last one 37 and 38, and it'll take you back to the very first one. So if you're looking for the rest of your stitches like I was, just note that just keep touching the same area for your stitches and you'll get to each of the different screens.